Hey, what is up, mortals? It is JessicaGem here with a new video for you. Welcome to part number 1 of What If Deku Met Ryoko. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. And so, we begin. Izuku Midoriya had always had it hard, being a kid without a quirk. He had been the target of bullying by his childhood friend Katsuki Bakugo. Most of the other kids just ignored him or treated him like he had the plague. These circumstances were very hard on the child's emotional state. It was after one such bullying event that a 4-year-old Izuku was sitting in the computer room with the lights off. The boy was watching an old video of his favorite, All Might, rescuing people from a major disaster. With each loop of the video, Izuku sank deeper into despair. Inko was getting worried about the small boy. She had tried to break the child out of his mood, but nothing worked. That is why Inko called her father Katsuhito Masaki. The kindly old man had always had a special relationship with Izuku. The man had been a father figure to the young boy after her husband, Hisashi Midoriya, had passed away last year. The old man entered the room and sat down on the floor beside the office chair that Izuku was in. "Is everything all right, Izuku?" Izuku had been holding back his tears, but hearing his grandfather's kind voice made the waterworks flow. The green-haired boy replied to the old man with a pain-filled tone. "No, Grandpa. Nothing is right." Katsuhito smiled at the small child. "Tell me what is wrong, Izuku. It is just the two of us here." "I want to be a hero like All Might. I want it more than anything. But everyone is telling me that I can't do it without a quirk." Izuku paused for a moment. The young boy continued with tears streaming down his face. "Grandpa, do you think I could be a hero? Even if I don't have a quirk?" The gray-haired man placed his hand affectionately on Izuku's head. "Izuku, I think you could be the greatest hero ever. While not having a quirk would make it harder to reach your goal, it does not mean your dream is out of reach. Plus, you're more powerful than you realize." Really, Grandpa? Do you mean that?" "I do, grandson. If you want, I could help you train." The glow of hope came back into Izuku's eyes. "Really, Grandpa?" "Yes, we can start tomorrow." Izuku jumped out of the office chair. The boy was bouncing up and down. "Oh boy!" "You have been through a lot today. Get some rest. I will see you tomorrow, little one." Katsuhito exited the computer room. Inko had been standing outside the door listening to the conversation. Inko asked her father a question in a worried tone. "Do you think it was a good idea to tell Izuku that, Father? It would be very dangerous for him to become a hero. Plus, there is the other thing." "That is why I want to start training him. The boy needs to be prepared. This planet has many threats, but there are greater threats that could come from beyond." The kindly woman got a worried look on her face. "I don't like it, but I will allow it. I want Izuku to be prepared for whatever comes his way." "You are a good mother, Inko. I will prepare Izuku as best I can." "Thank you, Father." Over the next 10 years, Katsuhito would come by during the week to train Izuku. On the weekends, Inko would take Izuku to her father's place in the mountains. Katsuhito trained Izuku in several disciplines of martial arts. These disciplines included kendo, judo, meditation, etc. The old man drove the boy hard in his training. He didn't go easy on the boy just because he was his grandson. The old man knew the path that Izuku wished to walk would be a hard one. He knew that the only way to protect his beloved grandson was to give him the tools to protect himself. Izuku was not a natural genius at any of these subjects, but what the boy lacked in talent, he made up for in hard work. The young boy had a drive to better himself beyond his years. Both Inko and Katsuhito kept an eye on Izuku and made sure that he got proper rest. Both adults knew that if that did not happen, Izuku would overwork himself and undo much of the training he had gone through, but overall, Izuku made great strides over the years. 10 years later, a teacher stands at a podium holding a stack of papers. I should hand out these career tests so you kids can plan your futures. The man took the papers and threw them into the air. But what is the point? I know you all want to go for the hero track. All of the students in the class cheered loudly while displaying their quirks. The teacher responded to this display. Yes, you all have some impressive quirks, but you know the rules. Katsuki Bakugo sat at his desk with a cocky look on his face. Don't lump me in with these losers. I'm going to be the #1 hero. The rest of these guys will be lucky to end up as a sidekick to some busted D-lister. The other students reacted violently toward the blonde boy, but these emotions did not temper Bakugo. It only made him leap onto his desk to proclaim his superiority. Izuku Midoriya sat at the back of the class, watching the events unfold. The green-eyed boy then responded to Bakugo's comments. Careful now, Kachan. With an attitude like that, you are more likely to end up as a villain. Bakugo turned towards the back of the room. Deku! Who do you think you are? The bomb-handed boy jumped off his desk and leapt towards Midoriya. Bakugo raised his hand to deliver an explosion against the green-haired boy. Before the red-eyed youth could land a hit, Midoriya grabbed his wooden kendo sword and deflected Bakugo's attack. Bakugo was going to follow up, but the teacher told the bomb boy that if he did, he would be sent to the principal's office. At the end of the school day, Midoriya was packing up when Bakugo and 2 of his lackeys approached him. The jerk with the spiky blonde hair had a menacing look on his face. We are not done, Deku! Midoriya got a look of utter exasperation on his face. I don't have time to deal with you, Kachan. I have to get to training. This won't take long, Deku. The fearsome teen put his hand on Midoriya's shoulder. I heard you were applying to UA. I just wanted to tell you to forget about it. I am going to be the first one from this crap school to get into UA. It would contaminate my victory if someone like you applied. After all, why would they take you when they could have someone like me? As the fiery-eyed teen said all of these hurtful things, Midoriya's shoulder started to smoke. Midoriya looked at his smoking uniform. The boy seemed more annoyed than scared. Midoriya looked Bakugo in the eye. I guess we'll see. It is UA's decision on who they accept, not you. Bakugo's grip on Midoriya's shoulder tightened. How dare you talk to me like that, Deku? A powerless loser like you should know his place! Midoriya did not flinch as Bakugo's eyes became inflamed with rage. The calm teen grabbed Bakugo's arm by the wrist. The bomb-handed teen was surprised by how strong Midoriya's grip was. Izuku pinned Bakugo to the classroom wall with a few fluid movements. Bakugo then exclaimed with a voice full of rage and surprise, What the hell? Kachan, I am not the weak 4-year-old I was. From now on, I will be aiming for the top. If you want to be #1, then you're going to have to beat me first. Midoriya held Bakugo against the wall for a few moments to drive the point home. After that, Midoriya released his hostile classmate and left the room. Once he left the school, Midoriya hopped on a train and headed to his grandfather's place. It was a long commute to get to the kindly old man's compound in the mountains. That is why he used to only make the trip on the weekends, but with the UA entrance exam getting closer, the intelligent boy knew the more training he got in, the better. Midoriya arrived at the train station nearest Katsuhito's home, but the boy knew he still had a short walk ahead of him. As Midoriya walked, he thought about how he would approach the practical exam. After all, he was very strong and agile for his age, but he had no physical powers to help him. The boy knew he would have to get some support gear to help with that. These thoughts faded from Izuku's mind when he saw a strange shape in the sky. It was hard to tell from a distance, but Izuku swore it looked like a collection of black crystals. More importantly, the sharp-eyed boy could see that it was falling to earth. From its direction and speed, Izuku could tell that it would impact the mountainside where his grandfather's house was. This made the green teen very concerned. Without a moment's thought, Izuku took off running. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Staying safe online is an ever-growing difficulty, and hackers could exploit you. NordVPN allows you to change your IP address, making it harder to track, securing your privacy. In addition to providing you with safe passage through the web, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services. Are you tired of going through 2, 3, or even 4 streaming services to watch your favorite anime? Well, with NordVPN, you can change your country and be able to binge shows like My Hero Academia, Naruto, and many others on your favorite streaming service with just the press of a button. Check out the link in the description to get 72% off when buying for 2 years at $3.29 a month. This deal is for a limited time, and thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Sure enough, the object impacted on the same mountain as the old man's place. As Izuku got closer, he was relieved to see that the object had impacted on the opposite side of the mountain. He could have stopped there, but his curiosity had gotten the better of him, and he was already 2/3 of the way to the crash site. Since Izuku had trained on this mountain for many years, he had no problem finding the crash site. When he arrived, he found that the object did indeed look like a large black crystal. As the curious teen neared the object, a lean but muscular figure emerged from the wreckage. As the figure got closer to Izuku, the first thing he noticed was that it was a woman. She looked no older than Izuku, but she did have a very nice shape. The strangest thing about her, other than the fact that she was emerging from a wrecked space object, was the color of her hair. The young lady had long, spiky locks of white hair. If not for the strange circumstances, Izuku would have thought she was really pretty. The lady took an object from her belt. Suddenly, a glowing blade appeared atop the bar. Midoriya's fanboy eyes went wide at the sight. Whoa! That's a lightsaber! It looks just like those old movies that Grandpa showed me when I was little. Before Midoriya could go into a long ramble, the young woman passed out. This caused the passionate young man to become concerned. Izuku ran over to the woman and checked her pulse and breathing. Her pulse felt a little bit weird, but he was very concerned that she didn't seem to be breathing. However, her pale skin was not turning blue, so that had to be a good sign. Midoriya picked the girl up and carried her to his grandfather's house. Midoriya arrived at Katsuhito's home a short while later. The gray-haired man was surprised to see his grandson carrying an unconscious woman, but the old man beckoned his grandson to come inside so they could look after the girl. The two placed the girl in a small guest room so that she could rest. Midoriya then asked the question that was eating at his mind. "Is she going to be okay, Grandpa?"
"She will be fine, Izuku. I think she is suffering from exhaustion. She just needs to rest for a little while. In the meantime, tell me what happened."
Izuku recounted how he found the girl in what he could only describe as a spaceship. He also told the old man about her lightsaber.
"I see. These events have derailed my plans for today, but they make it more important that I carry them out."
"What do you mean, Grandpa?"
The bespectacled man got a serious look on his face. "Izuku, what I am about to tell you will sound unbelievable, but I assure you that every word of it is true. So listen closely."
The inquisitive boy did as his elder instructed. The old man then told Izuku how he was a powerful warrior prince from a planet called Jirai. He was so powerful that he was chosen to be the emperor of the Jirai Empire. This empire was one of the oldest and most powerful celestial empires in the known universe. Izuku's eyes went wide at the story. The man was right. The story did sound unbelievable. But Izuku could tell from the look in the old man's eyes that he was not lying. "Why are you telling me this now, Grandpa?"
"I have 3 reasons. First, you are at an age where I think you could handle this knowledge. After all, I told your mother when she was the same age you are now. Second, that young woman in the other room is a sign that affairs in the galaxy are starting to come to this planet. Until now, this planet was seen as not being developed enough technologically or socially. For that reason, all the more advanced galactic civilizations deemed planets like this one off limits. Lastly, you are about to start coming into your Jurian powers."
While Izuku understood the first 2 reasons, the last one was what caught his attention. "What kind of powers?"
"It varies from person to person, but you will probably gain greater strength, speed, and agility. You also get something similar to what you have on this world, telekinesis.
You mean like Mom's power?
Your mother was not very good at wielding her Jurian power. They did not develop well. However, even though you haven't displayed any of them yet, I can sense a great power in you, Izuku.
Really?
Yes, really. Train hard, and one day you might be greater than I was in my youth.
Izuku started to tear up at the old man's words. The thought of having powers of his own was so moving. He had long ago given up on that dream. This thought made him ask another question. Why didn't you tell me about these powers when I was younger?
Humans receive their abilities at a young age, but Jurians don't usually receive theirs until they're early to mid-teens. Plus, with your human parentage, I was not sure if you would receive Jurian powers. After all, your mothers were lacking in that area. I did not feel it would be good to get your hopes up.
But you trained me anyway.
You were an eager student. Plus, I felt that it was important that you be able to protect yourself, powers or no. This world is not unlike the galaxy beyond. It does not have mercy for the weak. That is a lesson I'm sure you have already learned, grandson.
So, how do you awaken these powers anyway?
I believe you are ready for that training. We will start it soon. But first, I think you should check on our guest.
Izuku had been so engrossed in the conversation that he almost forgot about the girl. This thought made Izuku blush from embarrassment. The flushed youth ran out of the room to check on her. Izuku walked into the room where the girl was resting. She was still lying on the bed, unconscious. Izuku sat down beside the bed in a chair. After hearing his grandpa's past, he wondered what the girl's story was. The green teen reached out his hand and ran his finger across her cheek. Suddenly, Izuku's hand started to glow with a white energy. He was slightly freaked out by this, but after a moment, Izuku went with his instincts. He placed his hand on the girl's shoulder. The energy wrapped around the girl and then faded. After a few moments, she began to stir. The young lady opened her eyes. She got a wigged-out look on her face. "Where am I? What is going on?" Her eyes turned toward Izuku. "And who are you?" Izuku calmly explained who he was and where they were. As he explained the situation, the girl started to relax. He then asked her a direct question. "So, I have told you who I am. Can I get your name?" The girl thought for a moment. She took a deep breath and answered, "Ryoko. My name's Ryoko." "Interesting name for an interesting lady," Midoriya said, without thinking. He blushed mildly in embarrassment. The boy continued, "Anyway, can you tell me what the deal with that spaceship is, and how you got here?" "How did you know that was a spaceship?" "Well, while it was an odd shape, I just figured that it had to be a spaceship since it fell from space." The green-haired boy started to ramble. While most people were put off by this character trait, Ryoko only smiled in amusement. The white-haired girl listened for a while, but finally she broke the boy's ramble. "If you don't mind, I would like to answer your question." "Oh, sorry. Go ahead." "You see, I am an officer with the GXP, a police force that enforces the law throughout the galaxy. I was after a fierce space pirate. This individual has caused destruction on multiple planets. I was hot on her trail in this star system when she ambushed me. We got into a fierce battle. In the action, my ship was severely damaged. I was fortunate enough to crash land on this planet." The curvy girl then winked at Izuku and smiled. "If not for your help, I may not have made it." Izuku blushed at the affection that Ryoko was showing him. The young boy had never been the best with girls. Most of his female classmates had no interest in him because he had no quirk. No girl, aside from his mother, had ever shown any kindness towards him. As all of these thoughts flowed through the young man's mind, a loud crash came from the living room. Both Izuku and Ryoko ran into the living room. The pair saw that the front door had been kicked off its hinges and laid broken on top of the couch. Standing in the doorway was a tall figure in a high-tech spacesuit that had the letters GXP written across the breast in stylized font. The figure held a strange-looking gun on the two. It then spoke in a mechanized voice. "Stay where you are, Ryoko! You are under arrest by the order of the GXP!" Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on the behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. Farewell, mortals!